Hey everybody, it's Matt. It's the Media Boat Podcast, and it's March Madness yet again here on the Media Boat Podcast. This year, for 2024, we've been going through the last 16 Best Picture winners from the Academy Awards, and going through the tournament bracket to see which one is the best. So we've started back in 2007 with No Country for Old Men, all the way to last year's winner, not this year's winner, last year's winner, Everything Everywhere All at Once. We've already finished the entirety of round one. Those videos are available on our YouTube channel if you'd like to catch up. Don't watch this one first. You're going to be really confused. Now it's time for round two, the quarterfinals. We have four matchups today that we'll be resolving, or I'll be resolving more specifically. And then that will lead us to Sunday, March 31st, where Mike will join me finally, and we will do the semi and final round to determine the winner. So, without further ado, let's move on to our bracket to show you what we've done so far. So far in round one, we had 2019's winner Parasite winning over Everything Everywhere All at Once. We had The Artist winning over Birdman. We had Nomadland taking it over Coda. Moonlight beating Slumdog Millionaire. 12 Years a Slave beating Green Book. Argo beating The King's Speech. Spotlight winning against The Shape of Water. And No Country for Old Men winning out over The Hurt Locker. Which brings us to this week's show. So we have, like I said, four matchups here. Winners in their respective categories. There were some genres that Mike had set up for us. Although if you listen to the podcast this week, you'll know that he doesn't even like how this tournament was seeded. I was like, hey, you did it. Blame yourself. This is because of you that we have Spotlight versus No Country for Old Men today, which is not what anyone wanted. No one wants this. But regardless, we have to start from the top and fight these tough battles, because how else will we determine one Best Picture winner that is best, truly best? There's only one way, and that's violence. So we start our violence from the top here with the first matchup. We have 2019's Best Picture winner Parasite versus 2011's winner The Artist. Now, this is a little unfair. These are two very different movies, for sure. One spotlights the class struggle, spotlights racial divide, is a more recent winner. The other is The Artist, which is, of course, an ode to the silent era in Hollywood. It's very, I guess you could say it's very interesting from a craft point of view, because of what they're doing with messing with the black and white and the silent medium in a modern kind of way. So they're not really one-to-one easy to compare, these two movies. Yeah, it's tough. I think when we looked at the numbers last time, we determined that while Parasite did pretty well critically, it was not the biggest runaway box office success, but neither was The Artist. I think both of these are movies that are not necessarily super mainstream and worldwide popular, especially The Artist, which is very American-centric with its commentary on what it's saying about movies. So this is kind of a tough conversation to have, especially I haven't seen Parasite, so I can't bring in my own personal opinion here. But what I'll say is The Artist throws us an interesting curveball here, because I mentioned it briefly in the last time we talked about it, but Hollywood loves Hollywood. Hollywood loves movies that talk about Hollywood, that are about Hollywood. It likes talking about itself and its importance as a medium, and The Artist is one of those movies. It arguably one of the reasons why it won Best Picture was because of that factor. It's an industry that loves celebrating itself. I mean, many industries love celebrating itself. A lot of movies and a lot of media is kind of metatextual in that way, and The Artist is an example of that. Parasite, though, from what I understand, has a more biting immediacy to it. It has a clear message it's trying to get across. It is poignant in its messaging. So to me, even though the artist may seem like on face value it has an Oscar advantage just being about the art of making movies, Parasite made quite an impact. It also has an advantage here of being a surprise. I think a lot of people expected the artist to win. Parasite was a big surprise when it won. So I think that gives us the edge. I think it has the edge of surprise on top of the edge of thematic strength. And I'm going to say that Parasite wins it over the artist. So, with that, sorry, the submit button was hiding. Parasite will move on to the semifinals. Which brings us to our next matchup today. Nomadland from 2020 against Moonlight from 2016. Now, these are two films I have seen, so I can get a little bit more into the nitty-gritty here. But right off the top, you have a clear advantage. I'm not going to lie. Moonlight is a strong film. It is beautifully shot, it is beautifully told. It is a coming-of-age film through the lens of the Black experience. It is fascinating in a lot of ways. The performances are impeccable. It is just a piece of work. I loved Moonlight when I saw it. It absolutely should have won Best Picture. La La Land didn't have a chance. That's how good Moonlight is. Nomadland is an interesting one for a couple of reasons. I think Frances McDormand's performance is exceptional. I think there's a reason why she wins Best Actress that year. I think it's part of the reason why Nomadland made such an impact upon its release. I think I'm not saying it doesn't have anything to say. It does have certain things to say about taking alternate paths through life, about how not everybody is set out to do the same, just work day in, day out on the same, on the same kind of life. And this, and taking different paths, you have to have a support system. You have to have people who understand that. And if you don't have that, there are complications, as what happens to Frances McDormand's character in the film. And taking this kind of van life path, I think opens her up to things, but also closes her off to things. And it's a good exploration of that. Is it quite as poignant as something as the coming of age of a coming of age story? No, it's not. I think they're doing different things. Visually, I think both are very interesting. There's a lot of very impressive vistas and beautiful cinematography in Nomadland. I'm not saying it doesn't have that. Its setting offers unique opportunities to showcase that. And but Moonlight has a look, man. I mean, you can just imagine that poster, that iconic poster for Moonlight, and it just really gives you an idea of the kind of thing you're getting into. It's moody, it's visually striking, and there's nothing really that looks like it. I like Nomadland a lot. I like Frances McDormand a lot. But Moonlight has my vote, I think. It's just such a strong, again, vibe. Just a strong look, a strong, I don't know. I think it has to be Moonlight. Sorry, Nomadland. Didn't work out for you in this case. All right, so Moonlight. We'll move on to our semifinal round. And we have two more matchups in this quickie of a show today. Next up, 12 Years a Slave versus Argo. Yeah, this is another unfortunate matchup here. I really like Argo. I think it is interesting in the way that it is borderline a comedy, as I kind of talked about last week. That's rare in the Best Picture winners. I think you get a lot of very serious dramas, as we've seen so far in this bracket. Not a whole lot of movies that can make you laugh. I think Argo makes you laugh while also being a tense thriller, and that's a hard balancing act to pull off. 12 Years a Slave, I have not seen it. But man, I don't know. It's like pretty heavy material that it's dealing with. That period of American history is loaded in a good way. And I think a movie that really delves into and puts you in the shoes of these people, like just horrible, horrible situations. Like, you're already kind of set up to have a very dramatic, powerful movie. And I think that 12 Years a Slave has a little bit of a thematic advantage because of that. Not to say that Argo doesn't do a good job with what it has, with like the task at hand, because I definitely think it does. But in the grand scheme of things, if we're talking about the best picture of the last 16 years, I think Argo feels a little light. It feels a little bit of a trifle compared to some of these other movies, especially compared to something as powerful as 12 Years a Slave. So, as much as I enjoy Argo, and as much as I'd love to reward the fact that they gave a Best Picture to such a mix of moods and such a unique movie, it's unfortunate that it just doesn't. I don't know if it plays. I don't know if it stays around along with the rest of these. So, I unfortunately think that, Argo gets eliminated here, and 12 Years a Slave moves on. So let's submit that. And we have our fourth in our semifinals. Or third in our semifinals. And now, the moment that I've been dreading. I was really hoping that friend of the show, Christy, would be able to join me here. She loves both of these movies. I really wanted to get her opinion between Spotlight and No Country for Old Men. Spotlight, as I talked about last week, is just such a tense, compelling watch. It just goes from moment one. The performances are great. Mark Ruffalo, excellent. It grips from start to finish, and is about a very, topical subject still. There's a reason why the Catholic Church reacted to it in the way they did. Like the subject of this, like the Spotlight team and what they were able to uncover there, and really drive home the horrible, like, underbelly of the Catholic Church of that era, and depending on who you ask, may still be continuing in some form, is just so well depicted in this film. It really just takes a hold of you and never lets you go. I understand it's just there's some similar opinions about No Country for Old Men. While it is, of course, a fictional story, it is, from what I can tell, like a very tense, well-done thriller, and the only Coen Brothers movie to win Best Picture to this date. And, a lot of people say it's their best, and thus it should be here. They're incredible filmmakers, they're incredible writers, and I think that I want to acknowledge that, and I want to honor that. And that's why this matchup is so heartrending for me. It's like, no, this should have been our final. This should have been our finals, and we have to do it too early because of the way this stuff was seeded. Mike. But he's going to listen to this and get upset all over again. Spotlight is so good. I love it. It's one of the best, in my opinion, of these Best Picture winners. But I can't argue with the legacy of No Country for Old Men. It is still a movie that people talk about 16 years later. It is still one of the primary examples of a modern classic, and the Coen Brothers probably their best film. So to put that up against Spotlight, as poignant as it is, and as well crafted it is, I just don't know if it hangs. I think this might just have to be No Country for Old Men. I think, and I haven't even seen it, but I just get this vibe. I'm going by vibes in a lot of this bracket, for better or for worse. And I think that the vibe is that this thing needs to stay on this bracket. I think this thing needs to move on. And, I think it does. I think it does, folks. So as much as I hate to see Spotlight go, sorry, Mark Ruffalo. But hey, we have our finals now. So we are prepped and ready, locked and loaded for Sunday. the 31st. So tune in then. Maybe we'll do that one live since we'll be on Zoom. So check that out. Mike will be joining me to discuss these matchups. We have Parasite from 2019 against Moonlight from 2016. The light battle, I guess you could say. And 12 Years a Slave from 2013 against No Country for Old Men from 2007. So who will reign supreme? Which two will be in our finals? And then out of those two, who will be the best picture? Well, tune in to find out with more of Media Boat Podcast's March Madness bracket for 2024. The Best Picture Faceoff will be back, like I said, on the 31st, Sunday the 31st, for this final wrap-up. Also catch a new episode of the Media Boat Podcast that morning as well on Sunday. So, by the way, that will be the last show for Sunday. We will be moving back to our previous schedule of Tuesdays for the show. So, starting April 7th. So tune in April 7th on YouTube for a new episode of the Media Boat Podcast on our new day of Tuesdays. But for now, next episode and the finish and our finale for the bracket will be Sunday, March 31st. So, thanks for joining us, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.